They fought it, and I know Becky avoided it. So we wish her well. So I decided to bring in a specialist from Israel.
This is called nepotism.
It's pure nepotism, pure as can be. And I have my grandchildren, my son-in-law in the back. And there is Zoe and Amitai, and that's Omer, and the little one is Shaya. And I explained to them, this isn't like Israel, where the kids run around without shoes. I try to explain to them what decorum means, and
You're doing pretty well.
but I said, if you can't handle it, you can leave. No one will be upset. What? You didn't know? What do you mean options?
For shoes.
But I've told this story a million times. I have to tell it again because I only have like 3 stories to tell. When I first started my career in Baltimore, the senior, I don't know how this happened. It was 1,200, 1,300 family synagogue. I didn't know anything. The rabbi went on vacation my first week. So I was put in charge. No, this is true. So I was in charge, like I couldn't be in charge of tying my shoes. So they used to have morning minyan, a morning service every day. And so rabbi should go. So what do? I go, I think I'm dressed nicely, but I'm wearing sandals.
Oh, God.
This was Baltimore, Maryland, mid-'80s, very traditional community, where if you didn't wear a jacket and tie to services, you probably would get thrown into the dungeon. So I go to services, everything was fine. Then I get a call from the president of synagogue, who was a lovely person. I said, Rabbi, I have to see you. And I said, this is the end of my rabbinical career. I had no idea what was happening. So his name was Sidney Friedman, a lovely man. He comes into my office. He says, Rabbi, he said, you were wearing sandals to morning minyan. I said, yes. And so I was so stupid. I said, well, they do that in Israel. He said, Rabbi, this is in Israel. That was the beginning of my rabbinical career. So no, you can't wear sandals. You can't go barefoot. Oh man, can you believe what I have to deal with here? They have to deal with me too.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
That's the issue.
Okay, so we're going to lead services together, which Lior does very frequently. And we are going to begin our services with Shalom Aleichem on page 6.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim Kadosh Baruch Hu. Malchuni Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We continue with the lighting of the Shabbat candles, page 7. Let us begin responsively at the top of the page.
Come, let us welcome Shabbat. May its radiance warm our hearts as we kindle these tapers.
Light is a symbol of God's presence in our lives. The Eternal One is our light and our salvation.
Light is a symbol of the holiness within each of us. The human spirit is the light of God.
Light is a symbol of the Torah's teachings, for the commandment is a lamp and the Torah is a light.
Light is a symbol of Israel's mission, as it is written, I have made you a covenant people to serve as a light to the nations.
Therefore, a spirit of our ancient tradition that hallows, unites Israel in all lands and all ages, we kindle the lights of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu le'adlik ner shel Shabbat, le'adlik ner shel Shabbat. We praise our eternal God, creator of the universe, who hallows our lives through laws and ethical teachings. We are mindful of these timeless values as we kindle the lights of Shabbat.
May God bless us with Shabbat joy. May God bless us with Shabbat holiness. May God bless us with Shabbat peace. Amen. Let us continue in our service as we turn to the second service of the month, and we rise for the Baruch Hu, page 36. Yeah, there is a, no, you may be seated. I messed up. Standing next to my daughter is making me extremely nervous. I feel as if I'm giving birth to her.
Oh, wow.
We are going to continue in our services as here's the deal. We normally do Shalom Aleichem or Lecha Dodi.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But since you've requested it, we're going to go for it.
Which one are we going to do?
Whatever you want. Lecha Dodi, page 2.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשמו תפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, Gam v'simcha uvetzahora, Toch emunei am segula, Boi chala, boi chala.
Lecha
dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. We turn to page 36 and let us rise for the Baruch Hu.
La 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 ברכו את אדוני המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך, המבורך לעולם ועד. המבורך, המבורך לעולם ועד.
Let us be seated. Let us continue on the top of page 37. I will begin. Ever-living God, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify of your power and wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, your glory will never depart from us. Help us to be your partners that we may endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Together, all goodness and truth come from you, O God. May no transgressions estrange us from you, nor self-centeredness darken our vision of your purposes. Help us to recognize that which is just and more fully understand your will. In adversity and in prosperity, may the light of Torah illuminate our paths. May we labor in your service so that our deeds become a living hymn of praise to you. Together on page 38, infinite as is your power, even so is your love. It may be seen through the history of our people Israel, through laws and ethical precepts, through statutes and ordinances. You have led us in the ways of righteousness and brought us to the light of truth. Therefore, at our lying down and our rising up, we will meditate on the Torah's teachings, finding within it the inspiration and guidance for our daily lives. May your love never depart from our hearts. We praise you, God. You have revealed your love through our people Israel. We continue on page 39 with the Shema. Oh, you want to do Ahavat Olam?
No, okay.
No, okay. Page 39.
I just need your help. Is it their melody?
You want to do their melody?
Sure.
Okay.
We're going to try it. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam, Leolam Va'ed. You shall love the eternal God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be upon your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children,
and shall speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up, you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be a symbol before your eyes. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates, that you may remember and do all my commandments, and be holy, holy to your God. Page 42, let us read these verses responsively. In truth, the Eternal One alone is our Redeemer.
God is the refuge of the oppressed, the deliverer of the persecuted.
Let us praise the eternal God who gives rest to the weary and hope to the despondent.
Let us ever acknowledge God as our Creator and hold fast to the Torah.
Blessed is Shabbat, the Queen of Days, which offers to our people enrichment of the soul.
Even more than Israel has kept the Sabbath, so the Sabbath has kept our people Israel.
How blessed are those who observe Shabbat, who sanctify it with prayer, with study, and with friendship.
Let us rejoice in our eternal God and delight in the heritage of our people.
May our home be filled with light and gladness. May our hearts be steadfast, trusting in the eternal. The love of God is our strength. We continue with Mi Chamocha, page 43.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha ne'eda b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh, nora tehilot osef eleh. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה. זה אלי אנו ואמרו, זה אלי אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
Okay, we are going to continue on page 44 let me begin. As the Sabbath descends, it enfolds us in its mantle of peace. It brings to us the precious gift of time to embrace family and friends, to reflect more deeply on meaning and the purpose of our lives, and to worship in the beauty of holiness. May every Shabbat be for us a sanctuary of love and devotion, bringing contentment to our hearts, happiness to our homes, and blessings to our people. Together, those who celebrate Shabbat and call it a delight, rejoice in your creation. All who hallow the seventh day shall be gladdened by your goodness. This day is Israel's festival of the Spirit, sanctified and blessed by you, the most precious of days, a symbol of the joy of creation. We are going to turn to page 45 and let us rise for the Amidah.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu. Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rahav, Elohei Rachel. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל. וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah.
Let us be seated and let us read these verses responsively on page 46. God of ages past and future, God of this day, as you were with our mothers and fathers, be with us as well.
Strengthen them, strengthen us. As you were their guide, be ours as well.
Grant that we too may be bearers of your teaching, teachers of your truth.
Then our tradition shall endure, and our people Israel will live.
From mother and father to daughter and son,
and all who follow them.
One generation comes, one generation passes. Each of us is a link in the endless chain of our heritage.
Students of the Torah become teachers. Our faith and our ideals endure. Our people and our values live on.
Let's continue on page 48. I will begin. God calls our people Israel to be of service. May we fulfill this charge by exemplifying the Torah's ideals with all those we encounter in our daily lives. May we have the grace to fulfill our mission with enthusiasm and with joy, always tempered by wisdom and guided by respect for other people's faiths and ideals. May our actions attest to the strength of our convictions. May our conduct towards our neighbors, our faithfulness in every sphere of duty, our compassion for those in need, and our patience under trial show that the one whose law we obey is indeed the God of all goodness, the loving creator of all people. This teaches us that to serve God is perfect freedom, and to worship God is the soul's purest delight. May our eyes and minds always be open so that we may see and welcome all truth, whether shining from the wisdom of ancient revelations or reaching us through the prophets of our own time. For God continues to shed light on every generation that seeks the guidance of the Eternal One. The people of Israel shall preserve the Sabbath, observing the Sabbath in every generation. It is as a perpetual covenant, is a sign between God and the people of Israel forever. Vishamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. איי 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 ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
We continue page 49. Grant, O God, that we may lie down in peace and that we may arise up again to life. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with wise counsel. Be as a shield about us, fortifying us against hatred and war, against pestilence and sorrow. Curb within us the inclination to do evil, and enfold us with the embrace of your love. Guard our going out and coming in to life and peace from this time forth and forever. We praise you, God, for you shelter us and all who dwell on earth. We continue with Hashkivenu.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך, והושיענו למען שמך, והגן בעדינו, והסר מעלינו אויב, דבר וחרב, ורב ויגון, והסר שטן מלפניו ומאחרינו, וצל כנפיך תסתירנו, כי אל שומרנו ומצילנו אתה, כי אל מלך חנון ורחום אתה, ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל, ועל כל העמים.
Let us join together on page 51. We gratefully acknowledge that the eternal God is our creator and preserver, the rock of our life and the shield of our help. We thank God and sing praises for the gift of life itself, for our souls that are ever in God's keeping, for the signs of our Creator's presence that we encounter every day, and for God's wondrous gifts at all times, morning, noon, and night. Truly, our blessings are without end, and God's loving kindness never ceases. Therefore, do we forever put our trust in the Eternal One. Let us continue with Shalom Rav in the middle of page 52.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov b'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Let's continue in some moments of private reflection. Friends, let's turn back in our Seder Ream to page 10 as we continue with some moments of prayer for those who are ill. Let me begin at the top of the page. Prayer invites God's presence to lift our spirits. It allows the blessing and gift of hope to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will. Together, We pray for all people who are at this hour are in sickness, in want, or in distress of body or spirit. We name in our hearts those who are near to us, in whose pain we feel pain. Let them know your help and feel your presence, realizing that they are not alone. Friends, as our custom, if you'd like to share a name of someone that you're thinking of this evening and praying for their well-being or healing, I'd ask you to do so. Let me start over here and work my way over. Anyone? Yes.
Father Lee Rothmeyer.
Okay. Anyone else? Becky and Nathan. Let's continue with Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Go ahead.
יהיו לרצון אמרי פי וגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי, וגואלי.
Friends, giving a sermon every once in a while is nothing. Giving a sermon every week is an accomplishment. So we had a sermon last week, so I said to Leora, okay, let's see what you're made out of. A sermon this week too.
It's Rabbi Boot Camp.
It's Rabbi Boot Camp. And of course, it gets me off of a sermon too.
Shabbat Shalom. There are times in our lives when we are caught up in moments of passion or excitement. We may have just gotten a raise and decided to go out for a fancy meal. We may have just won the baseball championship and poured an entire icy water canister on the coach's head, tried to make that a relevant local reference. I have no sense of that. We may have been moved by a play and now want to immerse ourselves in every play that the playwright has written. And we all know these experiences of powerful exuberance, and we all accept them and even welcome them as exciting moments in our lives. However, the other side of that coin is when our intentions and our excitement cross a line, when they cross a boundary, when our excitement and our intentions push the line of appropriateness, when our passion becomes zealousness. And this week's Parsha, Shmini, addresses this very issue of what happens when leaders overstep the boundaries of their power or of their mission. Our story begins with Moshe relaying to the priests, the family of Aaron, what their roles and their duties as priests will be. For 7 days, they learn and prepare to serve God in the Mishkan and the tabernacle. They learn about the different offerings, the clothes that they are to wear, and so on. And on the 8th day, they were anointed priests and to begin their work. End of story, right? But not so fast. The Torah tells us then, now Aaron's sons, Nadav and Avihu, each took his fire pan and put fire in it and laid incense on it, and they offered before the Lord alien fire, which he had not enjoined upon them. And the fire came forth from the Lord and consumed them. Thus they died at the instance of the Lord. On the 8th day, each one made an unwelcome offering to God and were immediately killed by God. What did they do that was so wrong that God killed them? The Midrashim, the rabbinic interpretations of the Torah, tried to fill all sorts of creative reasons for why their passion and their zealousness were means for their deaths. In a 6th century rabbinic text, the rabbis argue, were they killed by God for crossing the religious boundaries of the ritual structure that they had received, or were they killed for crossing the spiritual boundaries of trying to come too close to God? Were they punished for overstepping the bounds of their family structure, for not listening to their father Aaron and letting him take leadership? And why, in the first place, do their intentions matter in terms of how they came to praise God? Another take on the story of Nadav and Avihu is that perhaps they weren't zealous at all. Perhaps they were just practicing their own internal religious autonomy and were taken by the moment and the power of God. I think that we can all relate to these moments. They wanted to innovate. Does that resonate here in our community, in the New Reformed Temple, emphasis on the word new? A congregation which celebrates religious autonomy? Does that resonate amongst us non-Orthodox, non-Jewish law-based Jews, that sometimes we do what we want to because we believe that that is what suits our religious persuasion, and that's what aligns with our secular values? For a moment, let us ignore the fact that ancient Israel did not affirm autonomy. The Israelites were called upon to conform to the religious standards dictated by God and Moses. Things were not open to change and innovation. In an essay by the modern and Orthodox Dutch Israeli philosopher Rabbi Nathan Lopez Cardozo, he writes, "One of the most discussed issues in today's world of religious thought is the question of human autonomy versus man's obligation to carry out God's command. Which is a higher religious value, to serve God in a spontaneous outpouring religious devotion, autonomy, or to obey the divine imperative, obedience?" And I want to turn his eloquently articulated question back to us and alter his charge. What is more important to us? Our autonomy, our ability to choose, or being part of a religious communal system which is bound by religious authority? Meaning, do we make our choices as Reformed Jews in order to please our minds and our souls? Or do we make decisions as Reformed Jews concerned about the perpetuation of the entire Jewish people? Do we worry that the changes that we make will distance ourselves from other Jews who are more traditional? In Israel, this is a discussion that exists in the headlines. I am a card-carrying member of the Reform movement. I raised my kids in a Reform synagogue in Tel Aviv. I was ordained by Reform Seminary in Israel, and I've worked as a religious leader in Reform Synagogue in Israel as well. I grew up in a conservative Jewish household, but chose a more liberal path, which I think runs in the family. But I personally worry about making too many changes which may fracture the Jewish people. Personally, I want my freedom, but I worry that my need to exercise my autonomy will disconnect me from other Jews and from Jewish tradition that has been passed down to me. So let me give you a specific example. I was raised to observe Shabbat. I love Shabbat. It is the center of my life in so many ways. I need Shabbat, and I want my children to love Shabbat. When Shabbat comes in Israel, you can feel it. Everything slows down. You can hear the sirens of Shabbat. You can smell the chicken soup of different varieties in every corner. But I do not observe Shabbat the way that my Orthodox neighbors do. I go to the beach and I drive my car and I use lights, but I also do not use my cell phone or cook. But I do use my microwave to reheat things. And I go to synagogue as a woman rabbi and I lead services, preach, and read from the Torah. But my Judaism is a mixture of tradition and change. I exercise my autonomy, and that feels good. But I ask myself, do my choices disconnect me from Jews who are less liberal? Am I using my autonomy appropriately, or am I endangering Judaism? I guess that I want my religious cake and to eat it too, preferably babka. And what is of most concern, am I living the Jewish life? Then I can explain to my children, you can ask them later, that will create in them a love of Judaism. Nadav and Avihu, the sons of Aaron, were they dealing with these big questions too? I suspect, as does the commentary on this text, that they were overzealous, but for all intents and purposes, for this sermon and for this discussion, The sons of Aaron seem to have my challenge. They want tradition. And after all, they are priests who were called upon to carry out the sacrifices. They also wanted to bring excitement and a heartfelt love to their task and to their devotion. It is hard to be a Jew. It is especially hard to be a Jew who loves tradition and also loves being a modern person who seeks a Judaism that honors autonomy. But in the end, I believe in a Judaism that calls upon us to struggle and to think, that is only the kind of Judaism that is worth living, asking the questions all the time, contradicting ourselves too. That is my path. It is a hard one, so pray for me.
So you have to cancel your plane tickets next week. Third sermon. No. So Israel has come to
the New Reformed Temple.
They're doing pretty well, though.
Really well.
They are. They're doing okay.
It's what happens when you have a support staff.
Yeah. And Glenn usually is called upon to do everything. We haven't called upon Glenn to take care of the kids. I know you would, but as Lior said, there are limits. We can't become extremists.
He's saying challenge accepted. I'll take it.
No. So let's turn to page 368 and let us rise for the adoration. Let us adore the ever-living God. We offer praise unto you, who spread out the heavens and established the earth. Your glory is revealed in the heavens above, and your greatness is manifest throughout the world. You are our God, there is none else. Anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech malchei malachim, hakadosh baruch hu. You may be seated. Let us read together on page 369. May the time not be distant, O God, when you shall be worshipped throughout the earth, when unbelief shall disappear and error be no more. Fervently we pray that the day may come when all our people shall be guided by your teachings. Corruption and evil shall give way to purity and goodness. Superstition shall no longer enslave the minds, nor idolatry blind the eye. Then all who dwell on earth shall know that to you alone every knee shall bend and every voice give praise. May all created in your image recognize that we are brothers and sisters, so that one in spirit and one in harmony be forever united before you. Then shall your reign be established on earth, and the word of your ancient prophet be fulfilled. The eternal God will reign forever and ever. On that day the eternal shall be one, and God's name shall be one.
Bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. Bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad.
At this time, we call the yurt sites that are part of the permanent memory of our community: Rella Braun, Thomas Davidson, Sidney Grossman, Sidney Kamen, Herbert Kaufman, Rosalind Nachman, Mira Rostov, Lottie Rothberg, Anna Lee Rubin, Irving Rubin, James Wolfe, Ben Wolfe, Ashley Zach, in the period of Shloshim, Stephen Block. In solemn testimony to that unbroken faith that links the generations of the house of Israel one to another, we ask everyone to please rise for the mourner's Kaddish, page 375. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, v'yamad divrach chirutei v'yamlich machutei, v'chayechon u'vyamechon v'chayei l'chol Beit Yisrael, v'galav izman kariv v'yamru amen, Yehi shmei Rabba mivorach li'olam omei amaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, Yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudashah b'richu, Le'elan min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran v'yoma v'yimru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the one who causes peace to reign in the high heavens, let peace descend on us and all Israel and all the world. And let us say amen. Please be seated. The Sabbath flowers are dedicated in memory of Rella Braun by Joe Haydu and Barbara Marmer, in memory of Thomas Davidson by the Davidson family, in memory of Mira Rostov by Irv Belzer and Sue McCord Belzer, and in memory of James Wolfe by Alan and Deborah Parmet. And the Onig Shabbat is sponsored by the Davidson family in memory of Tom Davidson. Yom HaShoah will be commemorated Sunday, May 16th at 1:30 p.m. at the White Theater. April 6th, I said, what did I say?
May.
Every week I give a different time for it. Okay, Sunday, May 16th. This Sunday, no dates. But now you're going to remember the date because I screwed it up so many times. It'll stick. So Sunday, April 16th at 1:30 p.m., the White Theater, the Jewish Community Campus. The Yom HaShoah service will commemorate the 80th anniversary of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising and will include the lighting of 6 candles to honor the 6 million Jews murdered in the Holocaust. JFS Birthday Bash, Sunday, April 23rd from 10:30 to 12:30 p.m. at the JCC, and it will include the performance of Lisa Loeb. I think there's like 500 people signed up already. Yom HaZikaron Community Commemoration, Monday, April 24th at 6 p.m. at the White Theater. I think that is being organized by the Shaliach of our community to honor the Israeli fallen soldiers and victims of terror on that day. And our Young Family Shabbat will be celebrated April 28th at 5:30 p.m. The Yom HaAtzmaut. Friday, what did I say?
February.
What did I say?
February, it's okay.
There is a reason why I'm doing this, and I'll have an explanation at the very end.
Okay.
No, there's something really going on in my head beyond senility.
I hope
Okay,
so.
no. Young Family Shabbat, Friday, April 28th at 5:30 p.m. And RSVP by Wednesday, April 26th. Yom HaAtzmaut services will be, celebration will be Sunday, April 30th from 4 to 6 p.m. at Meadowbrook Park in celebration of the 71st anniversary of the State of Israel. And there are no more dates for me to botch. But I think this is the issue. Next week, I am doing something. Next weekend, I'm doing something that you're going to have to do someday, and you're going to wonder if this is good or bad. I'm taking confirmation students to New York. So I guess I'm doing something with the dates, because I do love taking the kids, but on some level, it's hard.
You're going to tell them the wrong date to show up at the airport?
I'm going to do whatever I can to make it a nice event for everyone. Please be kind to me.
We'll add you to our prayers.
And that will be April 20th through the 20th, 21? Yeah,
23rd?
through 23rd. Okay, not May, but April. Okay, so I got through that date properly. What other corrections do we want to make? Immediately following services, we'll join together in the outside to make Kiddush and Motzi. And what are we ending the service with?
Can we invite Zoe to do a Donalam?
We can do anything you want. Zoe, we want you up here.
For a Donalam?
Okay.
Can we invite Amitai?
Amitai, can you do it?
All right. Wait, can we pull this down for a second?
Yeah, of course.
How do you put it down?
All right. Can we do
You said if you want.
Are you ready?
What? I don't know that tune.
Which one do you know? Okay, so everyone wants to do the Uzi feet one, all right?
What?
Okay, we're gonna do it.
Let me just give you
Okay.
mine.
I can do it.
Okay, yay! Little man. Shay, come here. All right, are you ready? Okay. Page 424, Adon Olam. Adon Olam asher malach בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא אחד ואין שני להשירו ולהחמירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרה והוא אלי וחי גואלי וצור חבלי בצרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנקוסי ביום אחד בידו אפקיד רוחי בתשעון והעירה ועם רוחי גריעתי אדוני לי ולא יירא.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Let's go into the
So great.
outside.
Shabbat shalom.
Great.
Thank you. There were